Hey guys, and welcome. Today I wanted to put a little theory across to you all. One that I've been thinking about since the other day, and a way that could set up the next God of War game perfectly. What you don't want is for a sudden switch to a new mythology to not really make too much sense, and then to be told about what happened in the background and why it happened through lore and collectibles. It's always more impactful when you see things happen in front of you, or even get to play through that particular story element. An amazing example of this is from Halo Combat Evolved and the first mission on that game. You play through the Pillar of Autumn as it's being overtaken by the Covenant and boarded by them as they've just escaped Reach, whereas in Halo Infinite in the first mission, you're only told about it through a cutscene, and then you learn about it more by being told about it again through lore and the different people around the world of that game. Some might say that this is exactly what happened after the Greek God of War saga finished, going into this new Norse mythology saga. And yes, that did happen, but for a good reason. God of War 2018 was a reboot of the franchise in a sense, bringing the PlayStation poster boy back to the forefront with brand new graphics, a new engine and more. So a new story for those that didn't play the previous games make a lot of sense. Like, you didn't need to know Kratos' Greek background in order to understand this new saga, and that's the reason why it was done in that way. However, there is a different feel to the game after Ragnarok. The Greek God of War games were referenced in the rebooted 2018 version and then going into Ragnarok to provide that background that some may like and need, but you don't really have to know it in order to understand the new story. However, with the game, I think the Norse mythology will still be referenced very heavily going into the next God of War game, and be one of the background motivators as to why Atreus is travelling the world to look for the giants. Today we're going to discuss exactly this, and detail what I think Atreus is actually doing, where he's going, and how this potentially was done by the team over at Santa Monica to set up the following game after Ragnarok. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I'd be very interested in reading through what your thoughts are on this topic, or if you have any of your own thoughts, then leave them down below too. Be very interested to have a read, and we can have a discussion as a community down below as to what we think this next game is going to entail, how we believe it's going to be set up, and ultimately, where do we think it's going to be based. But, of course, leave a like on today's video, it'd be very much appreciated. Everyone of you going to enjoy. Consider subscribing to the channel as well if you are a new or returning viewer to the channel for as much story content as humanly possible, as often as possible. The next goal is 30,000 subs, so let's try and get there. But without further ado everyone, let's dive straight in. Odin was on the hunt for the giants. He wanted them all gone, he wanted them all killed, and whenever he came across one, that would be the end for them. So, in order to survive Odin's wrath, the giants decided to, instead of running anymore, they would hide away in these marbles. The giants were tired. They were just bored of running from Odin all the time and living in fear in their own homes. So, in order to find peace with themselves, to not have to worry about running away from a god that's going to try and kill them if they find Jotunheim, they hid away in these marbles so they could live eternal peace. These were the same marbles that Angrboda gave it to Atreus when he was in Ironwood. However, what if all the giants didn't go and hide in these marbles or were slain by Odin? What if some had the idea to flee the scene completely and start fresh somewhere else and start a new life? After all, you don't have to be huge in size like Thamor was in order to be a giant, and they could quite easily live amongst the people of other lands as well. Maybe these giants have the answers to something that Atreus needs, Kratos needs, or someone in that new game needs. And they flee to Japan, Egypt, China, India, anywhere in the world, which is where this new mythology will take place. And that will be the way that we move into that new mythology come the next God of War game. Meet the new gods and the people of that new area, and still reference the work that Atreus, Kratos and others did in Ragnarok and even before that in the 2018 God of War game 2. This would allow characters such as Tyr, Thrud, Freya, Sif and all the others in the group to still be a part and have a place in that new game without feeling like they're just there for fan service purposes. Example, Tyr was a huge part of the giant story dating back in history previous to the 2018 game setting, and he was a massive figurehead in hiding the Jotunheim Tower as well from Odin, so the whole group and the real Tyr could be reunited to try and fight for the giants, and put right Odin's many wrongs. It would be a very good way to get us out of that Norse mythology section, and actually makes sense as to why we're leaving that area and to move somewhere new. Kratos' cabin could have been destroyed, leaving him with no home, so they have no choice but to move. So, just to set the record straight here, Atreus went off to do his own thing to free the giants that were across the realms. At the beginning of the game, he found one of these marbles when going through the shrines within Midgard and trying to figure out where Tyr was. And this is when he finds out, when he's with Angrboda in Ironwood, that these are actually the giants themselves and not just things crafted by the giants. Angrboda had no idea how he came across one of these marbles, and wasn't aware that there were any other marbles outside of Jotunheim or any scattered around anywhere. She thought that the bag that she had were the rest of the giants and that there weren't any others left. So at the end of the game, Atreus leaves Kratos to go in search for these marbles around the 8 existing realms, with Asgard being destroyed by Ragnarok. There were some people in the comments of that video mentioning, well, isn't that what he's doing anyway? It is very vague, but what I got from it personally and what I believe that is meant by this is that Atreus will visit all of the different realms, the 8 existing ones, the shrines within those realms, and exploring them, talking to the people around there to find these marbles, specifically entering the shrines of each one of these realms. Who knows? There could even be a whole temple or something like that that's buried with all of these giants within. I'd be very surprised if there was only a couple of them left, but we'll have to wait and see, of course. What if Atreus finds something out? Someone that was working alongside Odin one time, or hated the giants as much as Odin, or another storyline entirely that he wanted answers to. Think of it as a successor to Odin or something like that, one to complete what Odin had started from another mythology or geographical location. Some of the giants decided to peace out and leave Midgard and the other realms for good, and travel somewhere else like Japan, India, China, wherever that might be. And this is where we base our next game, following this kind of storylines. The giants will now be the main forefront. Because you've also got to remember and think about this. We know next to nothing about Faye. Faye was this massive, secretive person that had the super strength to fight Thor. She changed the prophecy herself. So, this storyline is still open for us here. And I would be very surprised if Faye was not a part of this next game. So for me, it just makes sense for Atreus and this next game to be heavily revolving around the giants, who they really were, and then finding more out about Faye, who she really was, why she had this strength and never told Kratos about it, and ultimately, why she fought Thor in Vanaheim. This also allows other characters from the Norse saga to still have a reason to be involved as well, without them just feeling as though they're there randomly. For example, Thrud now wields Thor's hammer, so what more of that? We have Tyr, of course, the original God of War, who was in prison for so long within Odin's prison. How will he feel about it? Will he help in the rescuing of the giants or whatever this might be? While still giving you that reason to go and play the previous 2 games and get up to speed with the overall story. I mean, if they just completely disregard everything that happened in 2018 and Ragnarok, then what's going to be the motivation for people to want to play those 2 games through in the next couple of years if they've not already, you know? Personally, this sounds great to me, but at this point, who knows what Santa Monica have up their sleeve. But everyone, just a bit of a shorter video today, going through one of these theories that I thought that sounded pretty interesting. So let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I'd be very interested in reading through what you guys think. Or if you have your own thoughts and opinions and want to tweak my theory in any way, leave them down below. It'd be very interesting to have a read of it. But I hope you have enjoyed, everyone. Leave a like if you have. Subscribe if you guys are brand new. Again, a massive thank you for 20,000 subscribers. It's a massive milestone for me, and I really appreciate everyone helping me do that as well. And have a great Christmas, everyone. A happy new year. And we'll see everyone next time.